Okay, good morning. It's day 37 of these videos to describe a day or thought in the life of me as a schizophrenic and to explain that I'm actually a sane person and to practice being on camera for a life skill if I go forward in any endeavor in the future, including library work. Okay, so I do a little intro so you can skip ahead 2 minutes if you don't want to watch, if you've seen it. Okay. I came to the realization while writing my book that if I was going to describe myself to others, that I would describe myself as a itty bitty writer who experiences schizophrenia. It is a reality to be experienced, and much of the experience can be chalked up to coming into contact with organizations or technologies or systems that use advanced technology and modern technology. I am just a one-time semi-activist. I'm now a brain-damaged author of a book on technology in society, psychological operations, and political surveillance. And also, the book also encompasses some of my thought processes, which could have possibly gotten me targeted. This targeting is referred to as the targeted individual program by others. In week 17, or not week 7, in day 17 of these little videos, I describe how I choose to describe myself as a schizophrenic rather than targeted individual for various reasons. And so you can take a look at that if you want to understand that. I am now a brain damaged author, and it has resulted in my brain functioning in a schizophrenic manner, this targeting that I experience. I'm actually the recipient of organized political warfare, what NATO describes as cognitive war, and what the chief of Indian intelligence describes as neurostrike weaponry. And this neurostrike weaponry is a terminology used by the Chinese to describe their neurological weapons. And it is really just me coming into contact with the underworld of reality, including potentially Americans' classified sector of their government. So that's that. I'm going to get into a couple things today. Not a whole lot not a whole lot of exciting things to talk about today, but I'm going to talk about some things that are maybe lighter fare, so maybe people will enjoy that. I don't know. The Boston Red Sox fans, apparently I learned in my book that some of them don't like that they sing Sweet Caroline during the seventh inning stretch or sixth inning or some whenever they do that. And they do it every game, I guess, now, and people have grown kind of tired of it. And I thought that was kind of funny, just imagining being a person and being upset with like the song or like Sweet Caroline or just like getting sick of it or something. So I thought that was kind of funny. Uh, I've always seen people sing it in like England and stuff like that, and like all over the world or whatever. They sing these songs and stuff. So maybe they got sick of maybe it was like a American thing where they're like, oh, the English are singing the song or something. I don't know, but I would like to see a game at Fenway. I would, like I say, the second deck is where I want to see a game, and I can sing that song. So, okay, China is developing laser weapons in the last decade or so, potentially further. And I'm reading about this in my book called War at the Speed of Light. And so, these laser weapons, I've seen guys in their basement with a laser eye shooting things and setting things on fire. So, with relation to the fire, you know, uh, lasers are out there, so people could pinpoint a laser from a drone or something and set it on fire. So you never know what could go on with these fires. They could pinpoint a laser on an electrical wire and cause a fire and stuff. So, and all right, talking about the Camino, we're going to be doing that probably in September or October. The Camino de Santiago in Spain. If you don't know, if you've heard me say like the Camino or something, or if anyone watches, but uh, I'd probably do that in September or October of this year, and we're thinking of possibly going to Paris in the aftermath of that, so that'll be cool. I'm leaving my schedule open, and I plan to go to work when I come back, and I plan to apply to some grocery stores, potentially, hopefully. My number one choice is my number one choice on that front is uh, Whole Foods. So Whole Foods is my number one choice. If I don't get Whole Foods, maybe I'll try Aldi. And if I don't get either of those, then I'll probably keep going for the library route. But like I say, I don't know if I speak Spanish well enough for the library route, so it's kind of a toss up right there. And I don't know if I have the personality or the intellect for library work. So we'll see. It's a little bit. It's not highbrow, but it's a little sophisticated. And I have the brain damage, and I have the schizophrenia. And like for instance, right now the fires are people are setting up shop in the fires, and then with the schizophrenia, it makes me think like the fires are all my fault, and I would have to, people would be mad at me, and so I don't know if I would be able to handle that or whatever. So speaking of the fires, uh, I'm not attached to anything in this house. If it were to be lost in a fire, I'm looking around. Some of the artwork is kind of pretty cool. I would hate to lose it, but I'm not. It's not like if I lost the artwork, it wouldn't. It's not that important to me. Uh, maybe some things that people themselves have painted, like Scarlett or Anita, that would be sad. But uh, some of the things that people got me, the pictures, I would be sad about it. But I'm not terribly attached, so I'm not gonna like. Uh, what I'm attached to is the house itself because it's the childhood home. But even then, like if I had to move from this house, I wouldn't. It's just a house, and uh, I'm attached to the house because it is childhood home and stuff, so I really like it. But I'm not attached to the point where like it would devastate me to lose it. Just like having a home itself is devastating. Not having a home. So if we had to live in an apartment or something like that, we could manage. Uh, just thinking about that. So, uh, but the monetary, the finances, the economics of losing a home and property ownership and things like that, that would be devastating. And so, yeah, main thing is the people. You know, as long as everybody is safe and is alive and lives out their lives in a peaceful way, healthy, peaceful way, then I'd be happy. Okay, the fires have a different appearance to me than to others. And part of this is because of the schizophrenic reality. I'm privy to information that other people might not be privy to. And I believe that the incompetence, the narrative coming out of the fire, and this is where I talked about it happening in phases, and the narrative appears to be incompetence. And this incompetence to me is a cover for and it's probably deliberate incompetence to create a narrative coming out of the fire, so it would obscure the militant aspect of pyros or lasers or EMPs or numerous things that could potentially start a fire. And like I say earlier, this video, like I've seen people with lasers in their basement. Somebody could outfit a drone. Somebody could create a laser, could just go into a hillside and point a laser up at a hill and start a fire. And so, it's to me, like I say, once you know that there's HARP, there's Chinese technology, there's uh, Russian technology, which is decades old, and there's potentially new types of corporations and stuff creating new types of technologies with nano bots and stuff like that, in which they can manipulate the wind and they can manipulate air pressure in the atmosphere, and that manipulates the wind. And so you say somebody could have the potentiality of controlling wind events. And once you know that as a person and as a society, you know that, and then you see like any random psychopath could go into the hills and start fires. They could be a fascist. I mean, we have a guy doing a Nazi salute, so could be a fascist who hates liberal California. Could be a anti-immigrant person that wants to see immigrants of California burn and sanctuary cities burn. It could be an immigrant pissed off that there's a Nazi in charge and they're worried like we're gonna fight fire with fire, or it could be a eco-terrorist. It could be a capitalist who's trying to frame eco-terrorists. I mean, there's this endless possibilities about what it is. But in any event, Earth is taking over. So the Earth could be weaponized because we have weaponized it through pollution, and Earth is basically taking back California right now. And there could be militant Earthers out there that are wanting the Earth to take back the thing, or there could be fascists that are saying, "Hey, well, we'll take over California and we'll use the Earth to do it." And so you never know what's going on. And I don't want to repeat myself, but there was the safety commissioner of Los Angeles was in charge of safety in the fire department, and he called in a bomb threat to the government itself. He's being investigated by the FBI. So when you have that kind of situation, any fucking thing is possible. And like I say, the motives of the militants, you don't know. You don't know what their motives are. There could be countless motives and stuff. So I just happen to know that I don't know the motives. But I'm privy, as a schizophrenic reality, I'm privy to information that lets me know that the fires are not accidental, and 6 fires didn't start through 6 separate accidents. That's a bogus explanation, and the fact that they're giving the bogus explanation is potentially an intimidation tactic, maybe, but the intimidation tactic could obscure the fact that it's a manipulation tactic to get you to hate the government, or whatever. Speaking of these types of high stakes things or whatever, we were discussing Jerry Buss, and my dad was saying like he couldn't understand why, like he got like 3rd place in a poker tournament, and my dad was saying like he can't imagine that somebody with as wealthy as Jerry Buss, with all the potential time on his hands and money at his expenditure, that he would waste that time sitting in a poker room playing poker. And I agreed with him because I'm my dad's son, but like uh I don't understand poker. I've never understood it. It's just something that I don't really get. I don't get enjoyment out of it. Like I don't want to see my money get sent off to somebody else because of a card game that I'm not even good at, and like uh it's just not enjoyable to me. Sitting around doing nothing is very boring, and I'm just not a poker player myself, so uh, I don't particularly understand it. So yeah. All right. So that is that. I was gonna get into something, something at the beginning. I don't think I have enough time, but it was about the fact that like liberal Democratic politicians come across as slimy, and like they were made at like a factory of an Ivy League school oftentimes, and they tried to hide this. They tried to hide it, like their sliminess. And Trump is, on the other hand, gets to embrace his sliminess, and his sliminess is what attracts people to him. And it's it's like they're doing Sieg Heils from the freaking podium of the United States, and then they no there's no repercussions for it or anything, and it's like they get to embrace it. And I know they're gaslighting people and saying stuff like, "Oh, what's not a real Sig Heil, it's not real or whatever." But like they're definitely whipping up their base, and I don't know. They get to embrace their sliminess, and the Democrats have to hide from their sliminess, and it's just like uh, that's something that I see, and so All right, I'm gonna stop here because it's been about 15 minutes. Okay.